League's monetization is in trouble.
The day I decided to talk about stuff regarding League of Legends, I did not realize
2 days
I'd be
ago.
diving into legal stuff. But oh well, here we are. In case you missed it, a few days ago the European Union made a move on the predatory practices in gaming. The funny thing is that they are finally focusing on something that has been part of the entire microtransaction system from day one. And that's because the day microtransactions were born, they were led by people who knew how to milk people's wallets. I mean, why else would we replace the name expansion packs with DLCs? And of course here we are specifically gonna talk about the use of premium currencies. Now, what is surprising is that most people don't realize that premium currencies are a really bad thing. And because people don't know about this, it kinda proves why they exist.
Okay.
Simply said, the real reason why premium currencies exist is because people have an idea of how much things should cost in their own native currency.
Yeah.
But if I see something available for Robux, I have no idea how much that is. So one purpose of the premium currencies is hiding real value. On top of this, when you buy the premium currencies, you either buy a small bundle that doesn't give you enough currency to buy something, which means you have to buy more, or
League does that all the time. League does that all the time. They make the skin price just a little higher than the bundle, so you gotta buy 2 bundle or you gotta buy more than what you actually need, instead of just paying exactly for the skin.
Or the bundle gives you way too much. And now the next time you want to buy something, you already have some of the leftover currency.
Yeah.
So now you
you're like, I might as well spend it. So you put another $10 in.
only have to buy the smaller pack to get it. So you buy again. Which is when you may think, sure, these are pretty bad cases, so surely there has to be some kind of a catch, right? There has to be something positive to premium currencies. Well, the thing is, nope. The only reason premium currencies exist is because they make more money. There is literally no other use for them. You could argue that premium...
They have entire leagues of psychologists that's perfected the art of just sucking as much money from us as possible. With Fortnite and all these gacha, the loot box system has been a game changer for them and our own worst enemy. Apparently people spend a lot more on loot boxes with a chance of buying something than just, buying the item directly.
Premium currencies work for brand building. I mean, look at the famous V-Bucks, or Primo Gems, or Riot Points. So there could be an argument made there. However, that would only be true if the companies also didn't pull off their shenanigans with the bundles. Regardless, this has been the case with premium currencies since the early days. And surprisingly, this doesn't mean the infamous horse armor. While that is considered one of the first proper microtransactions, that one was just bought for good old $2.50. Instead...
They don't make horse armor like this anymore.
We are talking about early EA stuff. Does anyone remember BioWare points? Does anyone remember having to buy a premium currency to buy a Mass Effect DLC? While all other games just sold you normal expansion packs for normal money, because you're a normal person. Well, EA may not have been the first one who invented this use of premium currencies, but they surely were one of the first ones to heavily profit from it. They were...
Bro, the Sims is such a ripoff. They have the game is only playable with the DLCs, and each and every single one of them is like $90.
They're ahead of the curve, and because it worked so well, these days simply everyone uses it. Well, fast forward 10 years, and after way too many people got too many cases of getting scammed by video games, which technically they are not getting scammed, they are just getting baited into paying more, and after many boycotts that happened from gamers, which means they did not succeed because they were done by gamers, the European Union realized, hey, those are some pretty bad practices. And just like other forms of gambling, lotteries, and addictive practices, premium currencies and microtransactions should be regulated. Otherwise...
I mean, it is gambling. It's it's gambling, but with extra steps. So yeah, if we do regulate gambling, then yeah, I think I agree with that. What do you
Things
guys
will
think?
keep getting worse, which is exactly what's been happening over the last 5 years. And so the European Union gave us this. Commission and national authorities.
Yeah, The Sims 4 DLC, including all expansion packs, game packs, and stuff packs, cost approximately $1,064 at full price. Isn't that insane? That's why we used to hack The Sims. We used to hack it. And then my laptop would literally take 20 minutes to boot up that game.
Take action to protect children from harmful practices in video games. Specifically, this is an action against a game called Star Stable Online, which apparently was really good at sucking money out of parents.
No way.
However, even though this is focusing on this specific game, this enforcing of action will also affect everyone else. Because if other companies ignore what happened here, well, they might get the same strike later too. Now, in short, the summary that circled the internet is honestly a pretty bad summary. Especially if you move around video games and you know what's going on, this one is not really for you. For the most part, it is focusing on the advertising to children in video games, because throughout gaming history, there have been many cases of children bankrupting their parents in video games. However, overall, everything is also aimed at protecting adults. So first, here it mentions that you are not allowed to advertise to children specifically, which also means you can't urge them to quickly buy something for the game, which is where we can mention that this is not preventing from the game saying, hey, if you want the premium skin, you better pay up. It's more along the lines of showing that if you don't buy a boost or something really bad will happen to a character. Maybe they will leave, or they will get hurt, or something like that. Yep, there are games who...
Dude, that is so predatory. The Dr. Kid app cries when a child clicks away from the ad. What? That is highway robbery.
Actually urge children to buy something quickly to help the characters. And you can find entire articles about this back in 2018. Next, the games are not allowed to bait people with...
Dude, that's twisted. It's like those kids' YouTube channel that are designed for maximum engagement, and they're like, if you don't subscribe to the video, then the kid will die, or like something horrible will happen. What the fuck?
Limited time purchases. Now, as far as I know, this is not talking about something like limited skins that are up during an event or something like that. Those should be fine. This is more focusing on those flash sales that happen in some games, where you can see something on sale, but it is only up for you for like an hour and you quickly have to buy it and no one else can see it. I'm looking at you, Warcraft Rumble. The problem there is that these sales are specifically up only for the people who are more likely to buy. But then it mentions that there shouldn't be purchases hidden behind small purchases. I'm not exactly sure what kind of a game would do something like that, a Star Stable Online. I assume it is something like, hey, you buy like a small horse, but in order for the small horse to run or something, you have to buy a big stable later. I don't know, I'm making this up. And lastly, it also mentions that if an influencer is talking about a video game...
Dude, it sucks because the stable game looks fun.
They should also mention the monetization. To be fair, this should have been a thing from the very beginning. Back in the day, I've made a Hoyoverse video or two, and yes, I still made jokes about the gacha machine. But here's the thing, after reading this, none of this really sounds that bad, right? It's not like any of this is actually gonna affect any of the big video game corporations, right? Well, that's because this summary is mostly aimed at the European parents.
Yeah, if it has that kind of monetization, it doesn't look fun, but I like the aesthetics. It's very like 2000s Barbie ranch style,
I guess.
Just get Rima Barbie Horse Adventure. True.
Supposed to tell them, hey, we are protecting you and your children. However, should we dive into the other documents that go into more details, we may realize that this also affects someone like Riot Games. And let me tell you, that other document is a whole another beast. One that might actually improve monetizations in gaming. So here, the network's key principles on in-game virtual currencies is an 8-page long document, which is not that big, which is why, at the very beginning, they mentioned that this is not an exhaustive list of all the bad things companies are doing. So if you start doing something bad now, run. But immediately at the beginning, we have an interesting line. After talking about what virtual currencies are, they mention this. The CPC network considers in-game virtual currencies as digital representations of real-world monetary value when they serve no purpose other than, or for which other functions are secondary to providing for a method of payment, the purchase of digital content or services in video games. In other words, this is mainly focusing on games that simply have their own V-Bucks or Riot points. In theory, something like gold in World of Warcraft is fine. Because even though you can buy gold with real money, gold isn't exclusively used to buy things you would have normally just paid real money for. There, gold is part of gameplay. However, later you will see that even this might have to do some things. Because at any point, if you pay real money for currencies, there is a funny thing every video game will have to do. And yes, this also relates to stuff like Primo Gems. Because even though Primo Gems in Genshin can be earned for free, the moment you pay for them with real money, stuff will be applied. The more interesting thing for us is that, yes, in some cases, Riot is screwed. And you will see that it's all in benefit of us, the players.
Consumers.
Mainly if you hate something like the Ancient Sparks, you might have a laugh. So next, the document dives into unfair commercial practices, which includes exploiting cognitive biases. In other words, the games bait you into paying. And here, according to the first principle, whenever a game has premium currencies, they are allowed to have it. So no, Riot points are not going away. But when you are spending it, you also have to show the players the real money value. This is cool, because if you go to the skins found in League, besides the 1350 RP price, they will also have to show you that this is $12. To anyone with self-control when it comes to buying stuff, this won't do much. But you would be surprised
this is kind of
how much people are willing to pay when they don't know how much they are really
I really like this Seraphine skin. Hello?
Paying. Next, the document mentions that this price should be shown even when you are converting one currency into another one. Specifically, we could mention something like buying Mythic Essence with Riot points, both of which are technically premium currencies. But they will still have to show you, theoretically, how much one Mythic Essence is now. And lastly, the prices shown have to be the base price points. If there are bundles that give you like 30% extra currency, those don't count. We're talking about the raw value. And yes, the document also mentions that earning these currencies through gameplay doesn't count. Meaning you still have to show the full price regardless of what's really happening with the currency. So yes, even the glorious Primo Gems are getting screwed. Which also includes the situations when you're buying gold in something like WoW. Anyway, next, the second principle dives into multiple...
It's kind of like, you know, when you're just like spamming a credit card and you never look at your bank account, you don't realize how much you're spending. And I guess now people are gonna realize a little bit more how much they're spending. They're probably still gonna spend anyway. When you want something, your mind will figure out a way to reason and be like, no, I need it. I need C6 Venti or whatever.
Premium currencies, which might impact Riot too. Because first, it mentions that games should avoid offering for purchase and mixing different in-game virtual currencies in one video game for purchasing in-game digital content or services. This means that if a game has multiple kinds of premium currencies, they have to merge them all into one. In theory, this means that Ancient Sparks are gone, Mythic Essence might be in danger, and TFT's currencies are getting screwed too. These should all fall under the premium currencies category together with Riot points. So in the future, it is possible that you will not be able to buy Ancient Sparks for Riot points. And
I don't even know what's going on with the new Riot currencies. I've completely checked out. I'm not gonna spend like $100 on their stupid ass loot boxes and gacha skins. No, thank you.
And instead, you just spend your Riot points with the real money value as you roll on the gacha machine. After which there is principle number 3, which might be the biggest one. This might actually change the pricing. because it mentions that games should avoid offering in-game virtual currencies only in bundles, mismatching the value of purchasable in-game digital content and services, and denying customers the possibility to choose the specific amount of in-game virtual currency to be purchased.
But it's practices to avoid. Does that mean that it's like you're gonna get fined if you don't do it, or it's just like a guidebook?
In other words, you are not allowed to sell bundles that don't match the price of in-game items.
That's great.
Which means, you know how in League you go into the store and you have a look at those 1350 RP skins? So then you decide to buy some RP and you realize, oh no, 10 bucks don't give me enough and 20 bucks give me way too much. Ah, what a shame.
They're just going to add more skins in all of the increments just so they can keep selling these bundles, I feel.
Well, now Riot will just have to sell you the skin for 12 bucks. And that's it. Thank God.
Thank God.
This was the most used predatory practice by far. And if this is enforced, the players will greatly benefit from this. Anyway, Principle 4 is all about information. It's just telling you that you're supposed to tell people what you're buying, what it does, what are the features, and surely there aren't any companies that would be like hiding that kind of information, right? Then Principle 5 is all about withdrawal. Funnily enough, this means that you now have the classic 14 days for a refund. But it also mentions that the game can just tell you, hey, if you buy this, there will be no refunds, and that's it. Principle 6 is all about not using weird words which might scare people. For example, you can't tell people that, hey, if you buy this item, the EU laws don't apply, because that's not how law works. What's interesting is that as part of this, companies are also not allowed to modify the value of the currencies, which means they can't legally take away your riot points if you get banned. But at the same time, modifying is also giving you RP for free, so maybe they can't give you RP anymore for sending them pictures. So maybe drawings for RP are gone. And lastly, Principle 7 is about protecting vulnerable customers, meaning that games shouldn't be designed with the idea of exploiting players for money. This could actually change the gaming industry if this worked.
Mobile games.
Also, when designing monetization, you are not allowed to target specific demographic. This is mostly a gray area, because no one can prove that, but I think it's mostly aiming at not advertising for children. Games should also not hide real money purchases behind just normal gameplay purchases. I guess there are games where a game will offer you something in a shop for like gold or something, but then you click it and you buy it for real money. I don't know if it happens. There is a whole separate point just to make sure that you do not advertise to children, damn it. Games should also have a functional parent control if it is a game for kids. And if it is on a console that has something like this, it should use the native system. For example, Switch has its own parent control. And lastly, they should avoid preying on vulnerable customers by making them pay excessive amounts of money. Now, this one might be the most vague line there is.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's basically a backdoor for the situations where some companies are doing something really bad, but right now we are not sure what that bad thing might be. Because in theory, gacha games should fall under excessive amounts of money. But the thing is that gacha games have a theoretical cap on how much you want to spend on a game. Because sure, it will cost you like $5,000 to cap off a character in Genshin, but in theory, you don't pay more than that because you already have them maxed out. There are some other games, such as Lost Ark, that don't have this. There you pay to upgrade items which only have a chance of upgrading, so theoretically you can just keep paying more and more.
What the
fuck?
fuck?
I think they later implemented some kind of a cap on how much players can actually spend in the game per day. And yes, in theory, Genshin also has something like that, where you can just keep paying for rolling on like artifacts and stuff, so I think no one is safe. But that is kinda it. Overall, this is a pretty good move from the EU, although it might also be a bit vague. The most important thing here is the bundles. Everything else is mostly a gray area on purpose. It is mostly aimed at the games that are really focusing on bankrupting people on purpose. And so, after this was released, and after Star Stable Online was given 1 month to remove their predatory practices, will anything
Monetization
change?
created another problem. Devs can't balance their games anymore. If there's balance
Yeah.
and no premium item, the gamers will sue the company that value is being reduced without compensation.
Yeah, for the ones that you can pay to win. Yeah, that probably doesn't apply to Riot, for example, where you buy for you purchase cosmetics. And mobile games are fucked, man, and microtransactions. Ugh.
Change. Well, nope. I am pretty sure nothing will happen until one big corporation gets hit. Because in theory, there is enough gray area where everyone will just say, hey, I'm not part of this problem. And so I bet everyone will just sit quietly until someone gets hit. And when that happens, then we might get to see some kind of a change. It may start with EA and
I
their
hope they
FIFA
get hit.
shenanigans. Or it may start with Riot Games. But the moment the first company falls, everyone will follow. And so finally, 10 years later, we might get back to just buying good old horse armor for $2.50.
Yeah. Reminder that Maple Story literally lowered the gacha rates every day for literal years before being found out and fined a very small amount compared to what they stole from players. That's disgusting. Hey, you! Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button. And I'll see you in the next video.